Guys, welcome back to this video. This one is a little left of center. I haven't spoken about this on this channel, but I know how important it is because a lot of us here are founders, entrepreneurs, growing a coaching business, and it's the one topic that is not very sexy to talk about, but it is really good to creep on, as in you love hearing what other people do with their expenses and their money, which is what we want to discuss today. I want to be as transparent as possible around what it takes to run an online coaching business, especially a coaching company that has been around for 8 years, getting into those higher numbers now. I've made multiple millions of dollars in coaching revenue. And I think one very interesting aspect to look at is, where are the expenses? What are the costs that go into running a company like this? And it is actually heading into the end of financial year for us here in Australia. I have an Australian business and a US business. So the Australian business is now coming to the end of the financial year. I caught up with my accountants and we had a big chat around what's being spent in the company. And I just thought, it's a really great video to make because for a lot of us here inside of this community, we are either aspiring coaching business owners or you're in the thick of it. You've definitely 100% got your head in the sand. And I want to talk about some aspects. I want to talk about not just making the sales, which is what the rest of this channel is all about, but what you're doing to actually set yourself up for success and some smart financial moves that you can make, some decisions you can make as a CEO and as a founder that's not going to have you chasing your tail year on year, just wanting to stay afloat. There are so many things that you can do, not just from a tactical perspective, but also from a mindset point of view. So I want to discuss that. I want to talk about how I think about money, how I think about expenses, what goes into the bills, and just my overall philosophy and mentality around running a company in general. So like I mentioned, I have been in this business now for 8 years. I honestly never thought that I would be in this for so long. I quit my job in 2018. And funnily enough, I did come from a financial services background. I used to be in accounting. I moved from accounting into HR, managing a ton of budgets. So I am not afraid to look at numbers, but the caveat here is I wasn't afraid to look at numbers for somebody else's business, like a company I was working for. But something shifts and something changes when it's your own business, right? Looking at those numbers is so real, it's so raw. If you have someone doing your bookkeeping for you and you outsource your accounting, more than likely you're not looking at this all day, every day, unless you just love that. Great, good for you. But you may check in once a week, once a month, hopefully not just during tax time. But, for example, we've got a quarterly meeting with our accountants and we're always, keeping very close with our numbers. Me and my husband actually both run the business. So I sit in the seat where I'm doing all the content, I'm selling, I'm coaching, I'm delivering. My husband is more on the business side of things. So looking at the compliance, the legal, the finances, the ads, the operations, the tech. But him and I, obviously, we work together. We actually work from the same house, different rooms, same house. But we talk about money and we talk about, our goals for where we want the business to go. We also talk about how can we be a little smarter with our financials? How can we be a little smarter with our spend? I want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor for today, pay.com.au. One of the actual practical things that I've changed this year is how I have been processing my business payments. We're talking all about expenses in this episode, but I want to share with you an actual platform that I use, which is pay.com.au, how it's changed the way that I look at payments, and it's not in the way that I expected. Pay.com.au is a business expenses platform, and what it does is it lets you pay all of your business expenses. I'm talking about software subscriptions, your team payments, your insurances, even those large tax bills, and you earn your full credit card points plus optional pay reward points on top of every single dollar that you spend. They are partnered with 16 plus travel partners that you can redeem with. And here is what has really got me. I am actually already paying these bills, right? Like I can't hide from them. They're not optional. So the idea is that I could also be earning points on top of every single one of them. This is just a smarter, honestly, more vibey way that I run some of the outgoings that I already have going on. And with end of financial year literally just around the corner on June 30, I am personally personally looking at what expenses I want to run through pay.com.au before the financial year actually closes, so that maybe by the end of it, I've got a beautiful flight or some, great things that I could claim as my reward. So definitely go and have a look at pay.com.au. We have a very special deal that the team have given us. When you sign up with the code FLOW10, you will actually earn 10,000 pay reward points when you access $10,000 or more in your first 30 days. The link is going to be in the description below. Please go and check it out. I genuinely recommend you guys checking it out, especially if you already have a lot of business spend that's coming up before the end of financial year. Let's head back to the episode. This year in particular, like this last financial year, we have cut down on so many costs. We really just went through a period where we realized we don't really need a ton of stuff. We've really reduced the team. So now it's me, Michael, and my assistant, Deb. It's lovely. It's like the exact amount of support that we need. And she's been around in our team for 5 years now. There's other investments that nobody really talks about. It's things like personal development. So the courses you might buy. I bought so many courses and books, conferences, masterminds that I've attended. And it has definitely added up over time. I've spent, I'm sure, multiple six figures on professional development, and I have no regrets. It's been amazing to add that knowledge into what I offer inside of my coaching services as well. Then there's the accounting fee. There's bookkeeper fees if you have them. This one surprises people because they think they'll just do it themselves. But as a business owner, you're wearing so many hats. Then there's legal, there's contracts, there's terms and conditions, there's templates. We bought a whole heap of those when we started our coaching company so that we had certain templates that we could apply, like privacy policies and things like that. Especially if you're selling anything online, you absolutely need these. And I honestly wouldn't recommend you just like copying and pasting somebody else's. Go to an actual lawyer, then you know you're getting the real deal. Insurance is one of those sneaky little ones, like professional indemnity especially. And it's one of those things that a lot of new coaches don't even know exists. They don't even realize that it's needed. So I definitely, have a little look into that, whether or not this is something that you also need for your company. Then there's, payment processing fees. Those ones, they sneak up on you. Stripe and PayPal take a little cut every single transaction, and that adds up. And you don't realize that as a coach. You think, great, I've charged $1,000, I pocket $1,000. Honey, I wish that was the case, but it's just absolutely not. And I don't want to say these to like make you feel crap or, stop you from starting a business. It's just great to be aware. And I wish that I had that awareness when I started. It's very easy to kind of go, oh, I want to hit these income goals and hit like 10K months and 20K months. But a lot of those months there is obviously the revenue, and then you've got your costs. And so what you're left with is the net profit. And I really sense that sometimes with some of my clients, it's still a complete shock that there's such a thing as, profit and loss. So please be aware and be careful with where your money is going. Now, on the flip side of things, I want to really discuss my mentality around paying all of these fees. I do really want to talk about mindset around running a business and looking at these, so-called outgoings. There are certain things that I've done that have really helped me think about, like these are expenses, but they are bettering my business. They are also bettering my life. It's a privilege to pay these costs. I get to pay them because I am a business owner. I chose this life. I chose this career. It's not something that I ever feel victim to, but there are ways that you can still make it a vibe. Here's the part that I really want you to sit with. Your expenses are a reflection of you growing a business. I feel like that in and of itself is such an incredible place to be. There's so many people out there who are on the fence, who are like, maybe one day I'll have a business. You are in it. And what you are spending money on in your business right now tells you an enormous amount about what you actually believe about your business. This is where you have, put your all-in chips and where you've decided this is where I want to invest my time and my money. I had to be honest with myself. It's similar to like why we decided that we didn't really want to have a big team anymore, that we could bring things a little tighter and keep things really, small and mighty. And a lot of you will have different examples, maybe about having that $50,000 website or having that $20,000 bag that you have to wear all the time to show that, you're abundant and wealthy and doing great in business. But I just really want you to think about, your expenses as a whole are here to show you Where are the pillars that you're putting your money behind? And how is that supporting your ongoing profitability? How is that supporting the ongoing scaling of your company as well? So here's what I ultimately want to say about this whole topic. If you're thinking about running a coaching business, it does cost, and it has certain expenses that not many people tell you about. That is not a reason to not do it. It's just a reason to go in with your eyes open and use certain systems and use certain platforms like pay.com.au, for example, to make that go a lot further for you. As business owners, we can reach to a lot of different benefits. We can reach to, a lot of different advisors who can help make our money go a lot further. The coaches that I see struggle the most are not the ones who necessarily spent too much, although that can be an issue, but they are the ones who never really look for clever solutions. If this landed for you, I would love for you to subscribe and hit the like button. I'm going to continue making a ton of videos for you around how to make more sales. But if you love this style of video where I'm chatting with you about what it takes to run a coaching business as a founder, as a CEO, all things money and behind the scenes transparency around costs, expenses, etc. Can you please also let me know in the comments? I would love to share more about what I'm doing, and I hope that this helps. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, and head to this video over here next.